Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello everyone, hello my viewers, welcome back to my channel YouTube. Let me introduce myself. My name is Fatmah Fauziah. You can call me Uzi, Zia, or so on. My student number 20171174065. Today I will explain my final exam about the course is the History of Islamic Education with my lecturer, Mr. Mujibur Rohman. And this is the soal. Okay, this is the exercise. Number 1. Explain the concept of history of Islamic education about the definition, function, scope, and periodization. Number 2. Describe and map the similarities between history and historical science. Number 3. Describe the pattern of and practice of Thai Patani Islamic education. Number 4. Describe and map similarities and differences the pattern of Umayyad Islamic education in Damascus and Andalusia. And the last number 5, describe and classify the Islamic education model Nahdlatul Ulama, Muhammadiyah, and Al-Irsyad. Okay, I will explain this insert in my video in this channel YouTube. Enjoy the video. The concept of the history of Islamic education. According to Fauziah, history is a very important tool for the study of Islamic education. Meanwhile, according to Dr. Hasbullah, the history of Islamic education is a record of every event in the growth and development of Islamic education since the time of the Prophet Muhammad SAW until now. Ibn Khaldun was the first Muslim scientist to successfully use a historical approach. In his work entitled Al-Muqaddimah, historical science is a reaction to previous historians who tend to mix myth, legend that don't make sense with historical facts within a historical framework. And then Zakiyah Derajat. According to him, Islamic education is more aimed to improving mental attitudes in deeds both of oneself and for others, where these deeds are still practical and theoretical. Studying history provides information about the practice of Islamic education from the time of the Prophet Muhammad SAW to the present day. Therefore, studying the history of Islamic education can give us encouragement to create new and better success and progress in Islamic education. For human life, history has an important role. In general, this is because history has the ability and power to create trust or dynamism and produce development and growth for human life with new values. The scope of the history of education includes the meaning, purpose, benefits of the history of education. The situation of education in the pre-Islamic era education at the time of the Prophet in Mecca and Medina. Education during the Khulafa al-Rashidin, Umayyah, and Abbasiyah times. Education during the Islamic Caliphate in Spain, the Caliphate Fatimiyah in Egypt, the Ottoman Turkish dynasty, the Mughal dynasty in India, the Safavid dynasty in Persia, the Kingdom era in Indonesia, the Dutch colonial era, the Japanese colonial era, the New Order era, the Old Order era, and the Reformation era. Education has a very long history. In a historical review, the history of Islamic education begins the beginning of the development of Islamic history, namely since the time of the Prophet Muhammad SAW. In the long course of Islamic history, Islamic education has also experienced various volatile dynamics along with fluctuations in Islamic history itself. The dynamics of Islamic history has been extensively periodized by experts, including professors. Dr. Harun Nasution, who divided Islamic history into three periods, namely the classical, medieval, and modern periods, which then the details are divided into 5 periods. The first period of fostering Islamic education, which took place during the time of the Prophet Muhammad. The first period at 571 until 632 AD. And then, second, the period of growth of Islamic education, the period of the 4 caliphs or Khulafa Rashidin Abu Bakar, Umar, Uthman, and Ali in Medina. The second period at 632 until 632 until 661 AD. And then the third period, the glorious period of Islamic education, which lasts from the beginning of the Abbasiyah Dawla until the fall of Baghdad, which was marked by the development of Aqliyah science and the emergence of madrasas, as well as the peak of the development of Islamic culture in Damascus. The third period at 661 until 750 AD. And then the fourth period is the period of decline is Islamic education, namely from the fall of Baghdad to the fall of Egypt into the hands of Napoleon, which was marked by the collapse of the pillars of Islamic culture and the shift of the center of cultural development to the Western world. The fourth period at 750 until 1250 AD. And the last period, the period of renewal of Islamic education, which lasts from the colonization of Egypt by Napoleon to the present, which is marked by symptoms of the revival of Islamic people and culture. The period from the fall of the caliph's power in Baghdad in 1250 AD to the present. History and historical science. History itself has meaning as a story or events that actually happened in the past, then followed by the Ministry of National Education providing an understanding of history as a subject that instills knowledge and values regarding the process of change and development of Indonesian society and the world from the past to the present. However, what is clear is that history is a description or reconstruction of events, stories that actually happened in the past. For the science of history itself, history is categorized as a humanities science, especially because in history it preserves and records cultural heritage and interprets the meaning of human development. That is why in the stage of historiography and explanation, history requires touch of aesthetic or beauty. The frame of Islamic education in Pattani, Thailand. In Pattani, there are 2 types of Islamic educational institutions, namely Pondok Traditional and Pondok Modern or private Islamic educational schools. The traditional cottage. Pondok is the oldest traditional educational institution in Pattani. Historians estimate that these institutions exist along with the spread of Islam in Patani. The existence of pondoks in Patani is not much different from the existence of other Islamic boarding schools in the archipelago, both in terms of background, formation of pondoks, and their function. In practice, students in southern Thailand are called Tuk Pak, not divided into grade level. The level and level of the person's knowledge is measured based on the books he reads. The curriculum, the subjects are all focused on learning the religion science, which are sourced from the classic books of the learning method. Focused on the method of learning the book through correct reading and also good understanding from the teacher. Administrative management is not concerned with such as the age of the main student, reports, diplomas or certificates, and so forth. And then modern pondok or Islamic education private school. This institution is an educational institution as a result of the process of transformation from traditional Islamic boarding schools to modern Islamic boarding schools. All activities are regulated by the Thai government to the regional education center in Yala province. In practice, the education system is carried out in the form of semi-secular dualisms, namely religious education at the Ibtidaiyah, Mutawassilah, and Thanawiyah levels, while general education starts as the junior secondary and upper secondary levels, while the teaching methods can be grouped in 3 types of methods, where each method has its own characteristic, namely Sorotan method, Bandungan method, and Weton method. The similarities and differences pattern of Islamic education of the Umayyad dynasty in Damascus and Andalusia. The similarities. First, both have the Kutab pattern in the most basic education, where this Kutab is a stage for children to study religion both in Damascus and Andalusia. Second, the children of Damascus and Andalusia in this place learn about PTA, study Arabic grammar, prophetic stories, hadith, and basic principles. Third, both studied language and literature, such as collecting poetry, developing Syarah, semi-porsa books, and then so on. This activity uses Arabic to communicate. And then the differences. First, in Andalusia, children are taught types of knowledge such as jurisprudence, language and literature, music and art, namely in Kutab. Whereas in Damascus, science such as the Quran, interpretation, hadith and fiqh are taught in the mosques, so the Kutab and the mosque are separated. Second, in Damascus, the literary assembly was distinguished from the Kutab, which was intended by the Caliph with beautiful decoration, only for prominent writers and scholars. Whereas in Andalusia, this includes the Kutab, where the event was attended by students who had to use Arabic as the official language. Third, Andalusia has art studies at Kutab. Both boys and girls, to slaves, they were taught various arts of music by the leading poets and artists of that era, namely Al-Hasan ibn Nafi. This is different from Damascus, not even in the application of music and art. Fourth, In Damascus, there were places lectures held especially for the children of caliphs and government officials. The court educational curriculum was regulated by teachers and parents. And the last 5. In Damascus, there is a Badiah program where one learns Arabic fluently and purely. Nahdlatul Ulama, Muhammadiyah, and Al-Irshad learning models. The Nahdlatul Ulama organization is very densely packed with educational institutions such as Islamic boarding school, Taklim assemblies, Diniyah, madrasas or schools, and universities. At the third Nahdlatul Ulama Congress, the Nahdlatul Ulama elite initiated a care for education movement by inviting the Mu'tamirin to visit large Islamic boarding schools such as Tambak Beras, which was led by Kiai. The existence of education in the Nahdlatul Ulama region began with the existence of Islamic boarding schools. The Kiai founded the Islamic boarding school primarily as an educational institution when he returned to Indonesia from the Middle East. In further developments around after independence, there was the development of an educational model in Islamic boarding schools. This stems from the fact that not all students who leave the pesantren are capable of becoming Kiai. So, the madrasah is actually a continuation of the Islamic boarding school. In relation to Nahdlatul Ulama education, the pesantren education system, which has long been institutionalized for the Islamic community of the archipelago, cannot be forgotten. The existence of Nahdlatul Ulama has always been upheld by Islamic boarding schools. From the pesantren, Nahdlatul Ulama's strength base was built by giving birth to many scholars and kiai who later formed Jama'iyah NU. Therefore, the presence of education in NU prior to the madrasah was pesantren. Currently, pesantren education is under the auspices of Nahdlatul Ulama and its management is entrusted to Lajnah RMI, while madrasah education is under the auspices of NU, whose management is handed over to the Ma'arif Education Institute. Muhammadiyah's first attempt was to establish a school and organize Islamic sermons. In 1918, a new school was founded called Al-Kim Al-Alqa, and 2 years later, the school founded a Muhammadiyah boarding school in Kauman. Students and 73 teachers. Data for 2003, Muhammadiyah already has 1,128 elementary schools, 1,768 madrasah ibtidaiyah, and then 1,179 junior high school, and then 534 madrasah thanawiyah, and then 509 general high school, and then 249 vocational high school, and 171 aliyah madrasah, and the number of Muhammadiyah tertiary institutions is 143. Muhammadiyah then also set up a school similar to the pesantren. Projokusumo in Muhammadiyah, 1987, and Teaching and Developing Islamic Boarding Schools describe schools in colonial Muhammadiyah. And then Al-Irshad, Jakarta, which is the place where Al-Irshad was founded. Naturally, there are many Al-Irshad schools there, starting from elementary school, teacher school, to tahassus, where students can specialize in religion, education, or language. The approach taken in learning is to pay attention to students from a moral and intellectual point of view. Use ideas that are acceptable to students, use a rational approach, and have a psychological and counseling spirit to understand students' interests, talents, and abilities. The methods used in Al-Irshad Islamic Education are discussion, practice, lectures, and exemplary. In 1942, Al-Irshad improved its educational structure by issuing regulations. The methods used in Al-Irshad Islamic Education are discussion, practice, lectures, and exemplary. In 1942, Al-Irshad improved its educational structures by issuing regulations that children under the age of 10 who could be accepted in the first grade of elementary school had a 5-year study period. Students in teacher schools are given the opportunity to practice teaching. Then, children over 10 years of age can enter into higher class depending on their abilities during the entrance exam, and students who live in dormitories get sports practice. Okay guys, finally, thanks for your attention. I already explained my answer in this video. Hopefully useful for us, for you and others. Sorry if the sound is not clear, there is a disturbing sound or the pronunciation not clear either. See you again. I'm Fatmah Fauziah. Say goodbye, terus sign. Wallahul muwaffiq ila aqwamit thoriq. Wassalamu'alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.